Hello, welcome to Informative Conversations. My guest today, a former guest of my previous podcast, Encouraging Parenting Podcast. I have Bex and Loui from Adventuretimeloui YouTube channel. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for having us again.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, sure. Thank you for accepting my invitation, especially with all that you ladies have going on. So, for the listeners that weren't on the previous podcast, I want for you all to give a quick overview of exactly what you do. And I want to talk about how long you've been doing it. And I'll ask some other questions. But if you could just pick up from where we left off and just give an overview of what you two do.
Okay, well, so we're a mother-daughter duo. When we left off, we were where were we? We were in Texas.
We were traveling
We were traveling together by a camper van. We each had our own camper van at the time. And we ended up traveling the whole South. We went through Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, Georgia. We explored the whole South, and the whole time making videos. That's what I do.
Yeah. And along the way, we visited some family, and
all documenting all of those things. We were traveling around in self-converted camper vans. Mine was a 1989 Ford Aerostar,
and
I have a 2014 Ram ProMaster.
Right, and what these ladies did is Loui and her mom. Loui, you had been traveling for 2 years, am I correct?
I had been traveling off and on for about 3 years. There were periods of time, like the beginning of the pandemic, where I stayed in a house and waited that out a little bit. But I've been doing traveling and living nomadically and alternatively for about 3 years now.
Yeah. And then Bex, when did you join her?
It was shortly after, it was like June after the pandemic started. That we joined together and then started traveling together. So June of 2020.
What I want to remind them is that both of you built out your vans. You did build outs to be living in them. You have a bed in them, you have stoves in them, and you travel to different sites in different places and live in different parks and explore different parks. And it's an alternative way of living.
Yes, a very alternative way of living.
It is. It was very exciting.
So approximately how much time do you all spend on the road driving?
Like per day, or
what? For example, when you determine that you're going to go to a site, do you know how long you're going to stay there, and how much time do you spend, I guess, driving from one place to another?
Kind of depends. So if we try to keep it like 2 to 3 hours, no more than 3 hours of driving, just because more than that is just really stressful and exhausting. So, but we have had to go, longer, 6 to 8 miles if we're needing to go like from one state to another, or like further into a state, or, something like that. But we tend
and the way we approached it was to go, like, it's basically like slow travel. We wanted to see as much of the US as we possibly could, and we wanted to just see even the small towns and like just the little things that most people just drive past or fly over. We wanted to get more of an idea of what, like, specifically on this part of our trip, what the southern US is like. Geographically, and like the south. We wanted to see it through our own eyes. Because we had like these preconceived ideas about it, be it coming from the West Coast, and people stereotype things, and I thought it would be really good to see for
firsthand
slow travel through.
And it was really delightful. We really did learn a lot about the South.
This country is amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
And so of the lower 48 states, how many of those states have you all visited or traveled to?
I've been to 36 out of 50 states.
Oh
And I've
my
been
goodness.
somewhere around where you've been too.
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
there's some states you've been to that I haven't been to,
And
there's
vice
some states-
versa.
yeah, vice versa.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And how
Yeah.
much of that has been during this this alternative living, this travel van living?
Pretty much for me, pretty much all of it, except for a couple states on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say the majority of it for me too. Probably 3/4 of the
Wow.
I had
36.
barely left California when I started living alternatively.
Yeah.
I had maybe I
Except
hadn't
for
left
like some road trips in
like
high
road
school and
trips
things
and
like
stuff,
that, but
but-
like Oregon and Washington and
Yeah.
things like that.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Bex, one of the things I want to point out is that you actually have are you still working full-time? You're a virtual office assistant, so you get to live this lifestyle and travel and work.
Yes. Yeah, I still am working. I don't work full time right now. During the summer, I've been kind of taking a little bit of a break. I've been fortunate enough to be able to do that. But yeah, I'm still running my own virtual assistant business.
Oh, wow. And Louis has a YouTube channel that we mentioned earlier. And so that's progressing more, right?
Yeah, my YouTube channel is Adventure Time Loui, and it's been growing, and it's been really quite a journey learning how to share, creatively this journey, and building a community of people who are interested in doing it themselves, or also just enjoying the ride and living vicariously because they might not have the accessibility to be able to do what we're doing. So it's been really fun to be able to meet the needs of people.
And sometimes people are like they're on the cusp of doing it. They're really curious and they're wondering what this lifestyle is about. And they see
that it's doable.
Yeah. And I feel
and
like
on a budget.
and I feel like, Loui really does it shares in a very authentic way. So people really get to have a real sense of what the lifestyle is. It's not a fake version of it.
Yeah, I mean, although you can't always share everything,
No, but you are definitely
but I
authentic.
try to share as much as possible to help people get a better idea.
You
At least
share
be one
quite a
perspective.
bit.
Yeah. And of course, she doesn't
Right.
share 100% of our lives, but what you do share is authentic. Yeah.
Right. Well, one of the things that stands out about you two ladies is that I see both of you doing it yourselves. You build like Louis has several videos of you building your vehicle to become quote home. And so I understand you all named them. And so Bex, your vehicle is Maribel. Tell us a little bit about why you chose to build out Maribel instead of hiring someone to do it for you.
Well, the first thing was money. Not being able to afford somebody to build it for me.
Okay.
But I think also there's a lot to be said about doing things yourself, like putting that love into it and the personality and the energy into it, and then living in it, you kind of know what you need. So I lived in Maribel for I'd say maybe 3 months or 4 months with the conversion that Louis had done, because it was Louis's van before. And so it kind of helped me to know, like, okay, I want a bigger kitchen counter, or I need this, to be done differently. So when I renovated her, I was able to make the changes that I need and kind of adapt it to what I needed it to be, It was really fun.
And I love your decorations.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness,
Thanks.
she decorated her cabinets and everything.
Yeah.
One thing that I did learn during the build is like my my limitations as a builder, you know, so I knew going into it that I really wanted to get pre-built cabinets. So like my kitchen cabinet is pre-built. I had another cabinet that isn't in the vehicle, you know, in Maribel right now, but that was pre-built, and just kind of things like that. Like I know that I'm not a cabinet maker like Louis is.
I'm not a cabinet maker either, though.
No, I know, but we just have our different skills and patience levels, you know. Like I was just like, no, this is going to take me 3 times the amount of time.
She did. Let's give yourself credit where it's due. You did build a shelving unit. Yeah. That's really nice. I like it.
Yeah.
And the thing about vans is they're very curvy, so you have to like. It's not like building a square. You know?
It's not like building a house.
Credit on that.
Yeah, I did build some things, but yeah. So it's been fun.
How much time does it take you to do that?
I'd say it took me maybe 3 months. Maybe 4 months to be like where it is now, you know, to be comfortable and like everything is pretty much done. There's always, it's like a house. There's always something to be done or, you know, improved or that breaks or something like that. So it's kind of a work in progress, but it took me about three months for the initial project.
Yep. Yeah, and same with mine. About 3 months. I'd say give yourself 3 months.
Yeah.
So were these skills that you all already had, or you learned them from watching DIY videos and so forth?
Definitely learned as we went, right? YouTube was everything. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we knew how to use like a screwdriver.
Oh yeah, all that
like,
stuff.
You know, and like a drill and things like that. But
yeah, like basic stuff.
A lot of everything is just kind of figuring out what you need to do and then kind of logicking it through and then be like, I don't know what this is, so I'm gonna look this up on YouTube or ask somebody who knows how to do it, and then just figure it out, and then just assume that you're gonna fail at a lot of things and that that's okay. You just start over or make changes.
Or ask for help. Yeah, if you're able to. Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah.
Well, Loui and Bex, I'm glad for the overview, but the real reason I wanted to interview you ladies and let the listeners hear about you and catch up with you, because you two have taken a very, very bold step, and and I want to talk about it. So I can't hold it. I want to say it. You purchased property in Alaska, sight unseen.
Yes.
So, and now you have moved to Alaska. So let's go through that process. How did you come up with the idea to purchase property, and especially and how did you go about choosing Alaska?
Well, so as we were saying, we traveled through a majority of the lower 48, and along the way we would always talk about like what kind of place we wanted to live, what kind of climate, what kind of community, what kind of resources would we want in a living situation. And along the way there was a point where we were joking around like, Alaska, I'd rather fight bears in Alaska than be in a place that is super populated. That just became like a running joke. And then eventually one day I was just doing some research. I was like, you know what, this has been something we've been talking about. Let me do some research on YouTube and figure out how to go about it. And we just started researching Southeast Alaska. Alaska is really big. It's about 3 times the size of Texas. And so I was researching the different regions, and then I came across this trust called the Alaska Mental Health Trust, and they do land sales every year. And I was just looking into it, and we found a piece of property. It was a little over 3 acres of the property we bought. And we're like, this would be good. And so first we like thought that could be an option. Then we're like, that might not work. And then we looked into USDA loans, and they have rural residential loans that you can get, but then that didn't work out. So we were like looking around. We talked to some realtors about the island that we're currently on and the culture and all of that. And you're like, you know what? I think we should do this. If we can figure out our money and all of that and figure out how we can purchase a piece of land, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it just turns out the first piece of property that we looked at on the mental health trust
That was
ended
the
up being
one.
the one that we went with. It's a little over 3 acres, and
Yeah.
we just decided, I felt like it was time to find a place and start working on something more long-term and investing in something, especially with like the state of the world and everything. I was like, it would just be really nice to not have to travel so much during a pandemic, have a home base.
Yeah. And we had really started talking about slowing down. We really were both longing to and kind of wanting to get out of the 48, because with all of our travels, we didn't really see ourselves settling in any of those states that we had traveled to.
Although we loved them all.
Yeah, we loved them, but it was just like we didn't see a place for us, and we did, and with we did tons and tons of research. I mean, tons before moving here. So even though we hadn't seen it, we kind of like knew it to the best you can virtually,
I mean,
obviously.
I definitely have to say it was a risk, and definitely I think our expectation before
Oh,
getting
yeah.
here was that it was going to be a lot easier to settle it, which is not
The land,
which is not realistic. Like buying a piece of raw land is going to be a lot of work no matter where it is in the world. So
Yeah.
I think coming to it and then figuring out, like, we came to the land the first time and we were like, wow, this is like fast. There's a lot we're going to have to do. There's like trees we're going to have removed and like all this stuff. And we felt really overwhelmed. But now we're in a place where like, yes, this is like, we know what we're going to do now.
Yeah, where we've worked through our process and like what we need to do, and
found a place to stay this winter.
Yeah, we've got a place to stay. We are going to stay. We've been going back and forth, like, do we want to stay? Do we not want to stay? And then we were going to leave, and then we were like, no, we can't leave.
We just love it.
And then the owner of the RV park where have stayed for the summer was like, hey, do you guys want to stay in this little cabin that I have? And it's perfect.
Oh, wow.
So we've decided to stay, and we're really excited.
See what Alaska is going to be like in the winter. I think it's very important to see your land in every season, especially in a place that's snowy. It gets really icy here, and then in January and February it snows. So we need to be
But it's not the middle of the Yukon. Like it's like it's winter, but it's not Arctic winter.
Okay. So you went from a very hot climate in California to it's still very cold climate.
Oh yeah.
So do you think you would like that better?
Well,
you go. Well, I think that Southeast Alaska is like pretty mild compared to further up north. It rarely gets below 20 degrees in the winter, which for most people and that's cold. That's cold. It's cold, but up north it'll get below 0 and all of that. So it's pretty mild here in terms of that. But I think it's I was personally sick of the heat.
Yeah, like where we're from, it was getting up to 105, 6, 8, 108 degrees, and there are fires everywhere. And now there's like lack of water, and we were just like, no. We need to go.
The wettest place in the US.
Yeah, and now it's going to be an adjustment, and already it is. Like it's rained probably half the time we've been here so far, and we've been here almost 2 months. But we've like had that expectation going in, and obviously reality is oftentimes different than your expectation. But I think that our perspective on it is what's going to impact our outcome. We are, and we're preparing. A lot of it's preparation too. Like we're preparing for winter. We're getting all of the clothing. The
tires. I'm gonna have to get new tires for car.
It's just preparation. It's being prepared, doing the research, talking to locals.
Learning as much as we can.
Yeah, we're excited.
And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you to get it together also, so that I can come.
Yes,
my daughter.
Yes.
Yes, bring your daughter. Bring anyone.
She's watched a few of Adventure Time Loui videos with me, so
nice.
We're pretty excited. So I want to, Loui, I want to ask you to go back to something you were talking about, though, you did your research and found out how you could purchase property in Alaska. Would you share a little more about that with the listeners? How, because you purchased it sight unseen. So tell us more about how that process works.
Okay, so specifically, we went through the Alaska Mental Health Trust, and I assume it will be pretty similar, whether you go through a realtor or the USDA or a private owner. But basically what happened was once you find the property you want, you're allowed, if you do want to see it before you buy it, you're allowed to go and look at the property and do all of that. But if you're doing it sight unseen, you talk to the people there who are selling the land, that's their like specific job within the mental health trust, and you can talk about like what it's going to need, what they know about, just basically everything they know about it. And I would recommend going on like Google Maps and stuff and like looking at it, figuring out like the terrain maps, the topo maps and all of that, and seeing that like for our specific lot, it is pretty sloped and there's there's small areas where they do flatten out, and that's where we're mostly going to be building. So on our acreage, we're going to have to be working with a lot of slope. So we knew that going in.
Yeah.
Now we didn't know exactly how much of it was sloped and all of that. So that's the risk you're taking with that. So once you do that, then for this specific trust or land sale, we had to send in an application, which was $500 to apply for it. And so you tell them like the lot, you give them more information about yourself. And then after that, once all of that's all good and you've like worked out a deal, they send you a contract with all of the information, such as things like we can't cut lumber down on our property yet. We have a lot of really nice western hemlock trees on our property, but we're not allowed to do that until we pay it off in full because we took a loan on this. And so they will give anybody a loan who hasn't been evicted or has
like no
dings like or bankruptcy on their record
or foreclosures, things like
foreclosures, things like that in the past 2 years. So it's that's what's so great about it is it's very accessible. It's kind of like a trade-off thing, like you get the as is land sale, but then so then we have a loan on it. It's very minimal, and then what they do is they take out they add 3% interest plus an or it's whatever the federal interest rate is plus 3%. And then that's what we're going to be paying on over the next like
20 years if we choose.
If you choose, and you can pay annually, monthly,
or
quarterly. We did the annual because we want to just do big chunks. I'm going to do.
And we paid 10% down.
I didn't say that. So then you pay 10% down, and then that locks it in. And they give you a thing called a quick sale deed, and within the mortgage, basically once they sign all of that, it says that if you are unable, they give you a certain amount of period of time to pay on it if you miss a payment, which is not going to happen. But that is good to know. But they can repossess it if you don't pay it within a certain like 90 days of it being late. So that's that's part of it. I'm like, what else is there about it?
That's it. I mean, it was super. Once we decided and we did all the research and we talked to all the people, and it was such an easy process because it wasn't your like standard, you know, FDA loan or standard like bank loan, and which was great.
And we knew that they were a reliable company because many people on this specific island buy mental health trust.
And
the
how
realtors
long did it take you from start to finish once you decided which property you wanted? About how long did it take you to make the purchase?
We sent in our application in March. So that was the moment we're like, okay, send it in March.
And we got our contract in June, maybe.
No, it was May.
So it was
March, April, 3 months.
But it took us a few months, I'd say like 2.5 months to actually decide to do it. Because we were like, should we do it? Should we not do it? And we really
figure out who to go through. What we were looking for.
And finding information like, are we going to love this island or not? You know?
It's worth our money.
So I'd say the whole process was probably 4 to 5 months.
One of the most beautiful videos, Loui, that's on Adventure Time Loui, is the trip to Alaska.
Yeah.
And I know that there were some hindrances. So can you talk to us about your travels there, how you got there, what happened, especially with COVID, to delay your travels and so forth?
So yeah, we were initially planning to drive up here. And I ill researched it, I guess.
We both did.
We both did. We didn't put
Yeah.
enough research into it. We're sometimes like kind of fly by the seat of our pants people, although we do plan, but we didn't do enough research. And so when we got to the Canadian border, having just a mortgage to prove that you were moving to Alaska to transit through Canada during this period of time, they wouldn't allow it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So we had to come back to the drawing board and be like, okay, how are we going to get up there? Should we just wait another year until they open the borders? And then we came across the Alaska State Ferry system, which is their marine highway that connects all of the Southeast islands and the mainland and everything. It's a pretty big thing up here.
Mhm.
And so we decided to take the ferry. It ended up being pretty pricey. It was worth it because we didn't have to do the wear and tear on our
Mhm.
cars, and we didn't have to drive. It was going to be 2.5 days to get up to Alaska.
Yeah.
Through the Yukon,
15,
through
over
Canada.
1,500 miles.
Yeah, so that it ended up working out good, and yeah, we had to get the dogs' health certificates and do all of that. But it was a two-ish day journey, 48 hours on the ferry, and it was beautiful.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, wearing masks the whole time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep, taking precautions.
Yeah,
and,
taking all the precautions.
yeah.
And we slept in the sleeper room. So you can get a cabin on the ferry, but it was going to be another like $2,000 or something ridiculous to do that. So we were like, okay, let's rough it. And we did. It was really beautiful.
It was fun.
And it was cool to get a feel for what the Alaskan culture is. And like there were like tourists on there, and there were like normal locals and residents, and everybody kind of mingled eventually. And it was a good introduction into Alaska. I feel grateful for it.
And I saw tents on the ferry.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Where they will talk about that.
So the thing about the Alaska Ferry, Marine Highway Ferry, is that it's like pretty well known once you learn about it that you can camp anywhere on the deck. You can pitch a tent and you can camp, and that can be your accommodations rather than a cabin.
Mhm.
Although it's pretty windy up there.
And it gets cold.
It gets cold at night.
Yeah.
Because you're on the water.
We were initially going to do that, and then we were like,
So we slept inside. It just made things easier.
Yeah.
But there were quite a few families camping outside on the deck, and I think that's really cool. I think that just like plays homage to like the spirit of Alaska and the spirit of the North. Like people are creative and they're adventurous and they want to do fun stuff like that. So
yeah.
Cool.
Well, when I saw it and I saw the beautiful scenery and the ocean and the mountains, I said, that's how I would want to go. I don't know if I would want to drive. I want to be on the ferry.
It's really worth it.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Okay, so talk about your goals for the property. Okay, so you get there to the property and you have a little more than 3 acres. And what are your what type of, because I know you all are planning to build, what type of house or spaces do you plan to build on the property?
Initially it's kind of funny because initially we were like, well, we could just do tree houses. How cool would that be? Because we knew that there was like old growth forest on our property, and we were like, that'd be so cool. And then
a realtor had said to us like, oh yeah, that you could get that, it's zoned for that, you could easily build that.
And then we kind of went through different iterations of like ideas and buildings, but now that we've actually been on the property and we've spent time there, we're like, we've come back to we're going to do tree houses. So that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
And we're going to be building a garden with like a low voltage electric fence around it because of animals and stuff, but it's going to be terraced, and we're going to get chickens and maybe goats one day, and I want to do the whole homestead thing.
It's going to be fun. We're each going to have our own home, and then the long-term goal is to have kind of like a bigger house that has like a kitchen and
piano or
yeah,
something,
like a music area and like a great view, so we can have we can have guests over, we can have
and we're gonna do little dry cabins too that people can stay in, and we might rent out. We might do like a grant program where families can come up and we can sponsor them to come up and explore Alaska, and we can take them around, and we got a lot of little ideas. But the main thing we're working on right now is we're trying to figure out our driveway situation. That has been the main challenge so far. Is we have pretty much a whole trail cut right now to get from the bottom to the top, because it's like about 200 feet of rise to get to the top.
Well, it's not to the top even, it's
to like the
where we want to put our houses.
So we're gonna build a stair set, like we're gonna have a whole trail, but then we're also working on getting a contractor to come in and put a driveway in to make it really easy for people to access. And for us to access.
We can drive up onto the property.
But they're very busy. They're the best contractor on the island. So
we're kind of just waiting, because they're working off island right now on a huge project. So we've been waiting. We haven't had a chance to meet with the contractor yet, even to get an estimate. So, but we do know that it's going to be very expensive. And so that's our main like focus right now is getting the money for that and getting it planned.
Okay, so I was watching a video of when you first well, maybe it was a few days after you had seen your property. And Bex, I saw you slinging I've seen both of you. I've seen you use a looper, a handsaw, electric saw. You were cutting the looper, going through, clearing a path. What? And I keep going back to you. You all are from California, so so I mean, this is a different world. You're basically you're like you said, raw land. You're clearing land, and you two are doing it. You haven't hired anyone to go in and clear this land. I saw the streams. It's beautiful. And that view, oh my goodness, it's beautiful.
I know.
But you cleared that land and you cleared that path yourself. And I saw you all cutting, first you had a handsaw, cutting big trees, and then you all used an electric saw. And I'm thinking, why didn't you use the electric saw in the beginning? But you know me, I would have said, well, we're gonna have to hire somebody. I'm the person, with good, that's gonna be honest. I'll see you when you get it all done, unless you come this way, So tell me about where did that mind, you know what I'm saying? You had to be in a different space, in a different mindset. And I love something you said, Bex. You said, when you built out Maribel, you realized how capable you were. And you said, that let me know I'm capable of doing anything.
And so I think that...
Go ahead. I think you're about to answer what I was going to ask. Go ahead.
I think that's why we're able to make this move and to cut our own trails and to be like, we're going to build our own homes, because just, having built out our vehicles, and I don't know, with all of the traveling we've done, and like, you really have to have a certain mentality. You know what I mean? Like, you have to really DIY, pivot it at a second's notice, like, and having traveled over the last year, like we've experienced challenges, and it's like, and we've overcome them. And I just, it's given me the confidence to know, like, oh yeah, we got this. I mean, it's hard, don't get me wrong, it is physically taxing.
There's been days where we just like, we don't want to do it. And we're like, we can't do this. Like, there have been plenty of days where we've been like, I don't know what we're doing. But then you get up and you're like, you know what? This is the dream we've been looking forward to for months now. Let's do it. We've wanted a piece of land like this for years. So.
And then you pivot, like, we were trying to, I don't know if you've seen this video, we were trying to build this bridge
Yes, I did.
over that really wet area, and we were just like, okay, this is not going to work.
We don't know enough.
We
about
don't
the land.
know.
We
Yeah.
don't know enough about how to do this.
And so that same day we were like, you know what, we're going to give up on this for now, and we're going to move to a different project. And we ended up building earthen stairs. We got them all done, and we felt great at the end of the day, because you just really lesson for me. I really learned that I really have to be flexible. I have to be able to be like, this is not working and it's okay. What else can I focus on? Also, another lesson, it has really been setting reasonable expectations. When we came here, we had so many high expectations because we didn't know what we were dealing with. And then it really took us, like, I'd say 3 or 4 weeks to really be like, okay, we need to take a deep breath.
Yeah, we know how we're gonna get on the land now. We got a trail plan. We can get up there to explore and check it out.
Yeah, we need to
let's figure out what we're gonna do.
We need to chill out and come up with a reasonable plan. It's been a learning process.
I feel like we've learned
a lot. So much.
But what are some of these tools your first time using these tools? Or I mean,
for the chainsaw, the chainsaw for both of us was the first time.
The first time working with
rebar, yeah. I mean, we've dealt with saws and drills and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, the chainsaw was the one thing.
It's an electric chainsaw, so it's everybody was psyching us out in the comments, like, you gotta be so careful about the chainsaw. It's like, yes, we know.
It's very different than a gas chainsaw.
And then we did it, and we're like, oh, this is not too bad. You just have to take all the safety precautions.
Yeah,
and you're good.
Yeah, and we're very safe people. We read the manual, basically.
Right, cover to cover.
Yeah,
practice on smaller ones first. And I mean, that's how you should do it. That's how anyone would do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know this may sound like I guess a silly question, but you two make it look so easy. So and I know it's not easy. I mean, you're realistic, but my question is, are you all sore at the end of the day? Are you all sore because you go back the next day and you move
1000%.
Both of you, one of the statements both of you made in the video, there's this huge tree that was laying across, and you all were trying to, this is before the chainsaw. Well, I don't know, I already tried, I pushed it, we can't move it, it's too heavy. And I'm thinking they were literally thinking about picking it up and moving it. The first thing in my mind would have been, who can I call to come and cut this?
That's funny. I'm very sore afterwards. Like there was one day where we worked literally all day. I think we were there for 8 hours, something like that.
We were wiped out for a couple days.
Days, and I was feeling my age. My knees were hurting. I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So yeah, we make it look easy, but it's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
But it's well worth it, and
it is.
It's a good workout. We don't have to work out now.
I know.
We could just
I said that.
Do that.
I said that. I said they get their workout every time. Okay,
definitely.
So something I want to ask you. Okay, we already know that both of you are strong, courageous women. So, and the task that you're taking on, you know yourself, there aren't too many women in the world that are doing what the two of you are doing, from the travels around, and that's one of the things you promote, is teaching people to allow them to see alternative forms of living. And so from the traveling around, even to now, this next step of buying property and clearing the land as much as you can yourself, where do you get the inner courage and the boldness to take on such a task? And are you ever fearful about completing a task that you have ahead of you?
That's a good question.
That is a really good question. I think having the support of each other,
I think that
really helps.
Yeah.
I think that's probably 80% of it, really, because we have each other to talk about our fears and our uncertainties and like to work out the problems, whether it's.
And it's funny because she is the dreamer. I dream too, but she's the dreamer, and I'm like the more realistic person. Where I'm like, we can't do that, so we talk a lot of things out.
We're a
like,
good team in
it's a
that
good
way.
balance in that way.
Yeah.
But I think for people who are like when
Are
we're on
doing
our
it alone.
own, you know, I think that for me, I was taught always to think outside of the box, and experiencing like just having to pay large sums of rent for something that isn't my own, and like being stuck in a place and feeling like I can't explore the world and like do stuff has really driven me.
Having struggle is definitely a driver of finding independence.
Like, I don't want to go back to that. I want to do something different. Just thinking outside of the box and like telling yourself over and over again.
Like I don't have to struggle.
And
I
then
don't
not
have
thinking
to
too hard about it when you're afraid to do it, because trust me, like I wake up every day and there are doubts in my mind.
And I think even if for people who are doing it alone, women who are doing it alone, like knowing that you can do it, like even if you don't believe it, tell yourself you can do it.
Fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
Even though it's not faking it, but just like, if that's what you have to say to yourself to do something, even something small, like I want to build a garden bed in my backyard, but I'm afraid to do that. I've never done that. Just
I also do feel that finding your community is really important. Like and whether that be, you know, a physical community where you live or virtual, you know, through YouTube or TikTok or Facebook or whatever it is that you are comfortable with, finding people who have similar interests and desires is vital.
I agree.
You know, especially if you're alone, you know, like just knowing that you're not the only one out there feeling the way you do is empowering.
Seeing people like you doing the same
things.
Yeah.
And I think especially as women of color, you know.
Exactly.
Right. So did you all know about things like solar panels? Like I was watching how on Loui, where you were showing how you have solar panels on top of your vans, and how you I like you both of you, Loui and Bex, you have your CB radios.
I miss those things. I miss them.
But all the things, like I said, the solar panels, that's what people are putting on their houses now as they're building. So how did you know to do that?
YouTube.
Definitely YouTube.
Seeing other people like us who wanted to do fun things. I mean, that's how we came across living like this, is YouTube. Seeing people live in tiny houses, and seeing that you didn't have to live in the city, and that you can make money in different ways, and all of that. YouTube is a great resource. I'm so grateful for it.
Same here. It really has opened up the world to us, you know. And when I was stuck in an apartment, you know, in California, and thinking like, how am I going to get out of this life that I hate? You know, I went to YouTube, and that's where I found my inspiration, and my dreams just started to come together, you know, and my future plans and all of that. So
the internet is powerful.
It is.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. That is so good that you get to, I just keep thinking about, you get to, like for me, I get to work from home, but you get to work from anywhere in the world, basically. If you know, you have clients, you have a job, you get to work anywhere in the world, and you travel.
Pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
I'm so grateful.
Definitely so grateful. There are challenges that come with that, though, just like in any life, you know, like our lives are not, they may seem romantic and like, oh, this is a great life, and it is. It is an amazing life, and I'm so grateful, but we have our challenges, you know, and finding Wi-Fi to work can frequently be a challenge, you know, and where it's like, you're like, I've got to get on a meeting, and you don't have any bars, you know, for your hotspot, and you're like having to drive around frantically, and that doesn't happen now that we're in Alaska, but
now that we know where to go.
Now that we know where to go, but it's, you know, it's beautiful and stressful sometimes, both at the same time.
Life, no matter
but that's
how
life.
You live it.
Exactly. So why not live the life you want? That's my thing. Like, why not? It's going to be that way anyway, so why not be doing what you want to do if you're able to do it? Make it happen for yourself, you know, in whatever capacity that is.
This is so inspiring to me. So Loui, I wanted to ask you specifically, I heard you speak of minimal living.
Mhm.
And I know, like for me and maybe your mom, I understand that when we get older, we start thinking, I don't have to have this, so I don't have to do that. And so we start giving away stuff or throwing stuff away, or just we don't need as many things as we used to have. But I thought about when I heard you say that, I said, but you're so young. How did you, and you were on one of Adventure Time Louis YouTube videos, you said, like shoes, I need to get rid of this stuff, or I need to throw this away, or I don't have to have that. And I'm thinking, you're so young, you don't have this. Where did you get that from? Where
Yeah.
the
So,
mindset of living with less.
well, I don't think I've always been like that. I think it's something that developed when I was in college because moving from dorm to dorm, or my living situation was always changing every school year. I realized that I didn't need a lot of the things that I was bringing back and forth. It's like, I never use this stuff, or I never wear this, and all of that. And then that on top of being just broke, like really broke, and being like, okay, what stuff do I actually need to be able to survive? And like, I want to invest my money in places, in like stuff, a nice coat or a nice sweater that I can use for a very long time and never have to worry about buying another one of these things. And the waste, the environmental impact that having a lot of things and like transferring your things around has on the environment was also really inspiring to me. And then moving into a van, that really got kicked into high gear. And I was like, okay, this is not going to work having all this stuff. Like, I need to be more aware of what I have. So yeah, it's a mixture of things.
Yeah, for sure. Living in a vehicle, you quickly realize that if you want to keep your sanity, you have to get rid of things.
You can't have duplicates of things. And it's like better to have high quality things, because things get, I mean, you're outdoors a lot. Things get like ruined pretty easily. And like you're jiggling around in your van. So it's like that, like, that intersection of like high quality and like having less. Is like it just marries each other and is like really important.
Definitely for nomadic living, for sure.
But I mean, everybody has a different perspective on that, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone has different needs.
And there are people who live in apartments and homes who live minimal lives, you know, they just believe in having less.
Right.
Having higher quality, less things.
Yeah.
Right. And so one question that I just thought about, how do you handle, because I see this as a great thing. You know, I know how hard it is to keep a roof over your head and with families and so forth. And to me, this is alternative living. And like I said, that's one of the reasons the Alaska purchasing property was so good, because it allows people to see, hey, I can do this. You know, this may not happen for me in where I am, but it could happen to me in another state. Or I could see, especially more people know that they can work from different places with this. Now that the pandemic has been here and a lot of people are working away and a lot of people are moving, and it's harder to purchase a home now because so many people are moving to more affordable states.
Yeah.
And so this right here is a great opportunity. But how do you handle the feedback from people, especially the comments that are given that don't agree with this?
That's a good question.
That is.
This is something we've been talking about a lot recently. And I recently feel like I've just gotten over the hump of like it bothering me.
Because there are people can be really, really mean on the internet because they have that, you know, anonymity, and they feel like they can say whatever they want to you, you know.
But then, but people can disagree, you know. And just as long as they do it nicely.
Yeah, as long as And there are people who attack Loui. I mean, that like really are mean. Fortunately, she can just block them, but those words go into her, you know what I mean? Like she feels those, and I see the effects of that, and it's unfortunate. But
and
most
the way we
people
approach it is just like, you're not gonna change people's minds, and if they're not open to what you're doing and they don't agree, that's totally fine. I really I just want everyone to be happy. That's all. And as long as we can be nice to each other, that's what matters. And
fortunately, most, I would say the majority, do you agree? The majority of people who comment and interact in the Adventure Time Loui community are positive and excited and are
Here for the
really,
ride.
yeah, they're really interested in the lifestyle and the adventure. Yeah, and
take all the information they can get from it for
Yeah.
themselves, you know, like
the majority of the people that I think, right, are like
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it makes it worth it for sure.
Yeah.
Because I know for myself when I first started watching, and I was so fearful for you, Louie, and I would say, "Oh, she's out there by herself, and she's out there with." Okay, so William is Beck's dog. William is your dog, Louie, right?
Yeah, William's my dog,
Yeah.
and Lady is my mom's dog.
Yeah.
Right. And so I said, "Oh, she's out," and I was fearful. But the more I watched, the more I learned. It made me courageous. You know, I said,
That's great.
wow.
That's clear.
You know, even and not necessarily even courageous to do what you two are doing, but the things it made me say, you know, I could just step out of the norm, you know,
Yes.
step out of my norm. It's okay. And so I'm really inspired, I'm really inspired by the life that you all live. And so
Thank
one
you.
thing, I want you to talk about your experiences since you've been in Alaska, compared to the other of the lower 48 where you've been. I noticed Louis had a video when you all visited the harbor and when you all had a fishing experience. Tell me about the food prices and the meadows and the plants and the animals. One thing I want to say, Louis, I just thought it was wrong for you to put that picture of all that good fish when you were and let us see that, especially if
We're
you're
gonna
like
have
me
to-
in my house, so we're foodies. And so
I'm
I
gonna
said,
send
"Oh."
you. I'm learning how to fish, but as soon as I can fish and get some canned or smoked for you, I'll send some over to you.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you can have a
Definitely.
taste of it. Like definitely.
okay, thank you.
Of
Thank
course.
you. Okay, so I know I
Um,
packed a lot in that question. So just tell
Yeah.
us about your Alaska experience so far.
It's been so wonderful.
It's been so beautiful.
It's been
Yeah.
there are the moments of culture shock where you're
Mhm.
like, wow, this is very different.
Yeah.
People move a lot slower here. Things are a lot more relaxed, which we're kind of used to, but it's just definitely it's a culture shock. But then like how much abundance and like food and like animals and like food and all of the like natural resources is really amazing.
And people's kindness here,
People are
you know,
very
people are very giving with the information that they share.
Oh, that's so helpful.
People have given us, we've been gifted salmon, halibut, crab.
They're like, it's a bountiful time. We're
Yeah.
happy to share with you.
I mean, and these are
Like,
people we don't really know that well. We do have one family where we are staying that we have gotten to know a little bit, and they have kids that are living here, and so we've gotten to know them.
yeah.
And so we're starting to get to know people here, and it's exciting.
People are so friendly.
People are really friendly, you know,
generous.
and it's like any place. There are people who are not friendly also, but the majority of people are friendly. They're giving, they're kind.
They're looking out for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even if you have differences, like they'll come to your aid, you know, and with no questions asked. And that's what we were looking for when we were researching for places to live. That's what we want. We want a family-oriented place that's a small community, that's beautiful and bountiful. And that's what we have found, fortunately.
Oh, wow. That's great. That is really good. Okay, so I want for you all to share share your contact information. Bex, we'll begin with you.
Well, I do have a YouTube channel. It's called Out Seeking Rainbows. I was for a while posting videos weekly on Sundays, but now I'm doing every other week on Sundays. Got some great content, so you guys should check it out. And on Instagram, I'm out_seeking_rainbows.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Louis?
Okay. yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok as adventuretimeloui. And Loui is spelled Loui.
Great, 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 ladies. Okay, so I have to ask this. Give us something that would be encouraging and inspiring to the listeners.
Okay. Well, I guess my name is Adventure Time Loui. So I would just want to say that adventure is out there no matter what type of adventure you want to seek. There are adventures big, there are adventures small that you can have in your life. And you can take steps towards the life you want to live today and the adventures that you want to have. And yeah, you got to find it within yourself and find the bravery and courage to be who you want to be. And I 100% say you can do it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I agree with that so much.
Yeah, that's really good. And what about you, Beck?
I agree 100% with what Loui said. I just feel that if you want something, you've got to just find the courage, and go out and do it, and you will not regret it. Even if you end up failing, at least you've taken that step, and that will help you to continue to explore what you want and to seek out the lifestyle and the life that you want. It's out there. Adventure is out there. Yes. It's in your neighborhood. Sometimes it could be in your home or your vehicle or wherever you are,
Whatever is accessible to you.
Yes. Work with what you got.
Yep.
Right. Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, ladies, I wanted to let you know that I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so inspired by you. And I pray God's continued covering and blessings over you both. What you're doing and what you're offering to people is really good and a really good opportunity. Things that we didn't know we could have, we didn't know we could do. So thank you so much for sharing, and thank you again for accepting my invitation.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
It's been wonderful.
All right. You all have a great day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
All right. Goodbye.